Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. Seems like only yesterday we were here 1 year ago. I want to welcome everyone that is joining me. We have Majority Leader Sweeney, Budget Chair Greenwald and Poe, guests Frank and Marty Grizak, who are from Eatontown, along with Mayor Orantella from Eatontown, where we had one of our town hall or sit-down around the kitchen table meetings at least. And I'm very pleased they'll all be speaking in a little bit. Cy Larson, who is New Jersey's AARP president. Jean Musi, who is a first grade teacher and teacher of the year. And my friends from Bloomfield, who also hosted one of our conversations around the kitchen table, Barry and Peg Weiner and their children. So thank you all very much for being here. And we today are making history. For over 6 decades, New Jersey's governors and legislators have talked about the need to make state government leaner, reduce its size, and spending. For over six decades, Democrats and Republicans have often tried to one-up each other in promising more efficiency, more tax relief for working families. But for over 6 decades, the size and cost of government has continued to grow with only occasional one-year reprieves. For over 6 decades, politicians promised what they could not or would not deliver until today. In just a few minutes, I will become the first governor of New Jersey in over 6 decades, maybe longer, to reduce 2 years in a row the size and cost of state government, and by the largest percentage total any of us can find, going all the way back through the Great Depression. The budget I will sign into law this afternoon contains $29 billion in spending. That's $1.8 billion smaller than the first budget I signed in 2006, and $4 billion smaller than the budget most of us joined in signing right here 1 year ago last June. Even more remarkably, in baseline terms, we have cut spending a staggering $7 billion in the budget that is on that desk. What this means is very simple. I'm the only governor of New Jersey since at least 1947 to cut the size of government. Other governors and legislators have talked about it, but together with my colleagues, like Chairman Buono, together with my colleagues, we got it done. You've heard this before. By measures big and small, we've reshaped and resized state government. We cut every department, eliminated some, sold cars, towed gas cards, closed office buildings, cut down on waste and fraud, and reformed public employee pensions and benefits. And in the current budget, we've even negotiated a 7.5% wage give-back for public employees, saving well over $300 million. We eliminated or reduced 850 line items in this state budget. In over 3.5 years, we've reduced the size of the state workforce by 7,000 people. Yet even as we've cut the size and cost of government, we've maintained our core commitment to nurturing our children, honoring our seniors, and protecting the most vulnerable. And while we've demonstrated a commitment to our fundamental values and those people who we care so deeply about, we've expanded my administration's unequaled investment in direct property tax relief for working families, nearly $7 billion over the 4 years. In short, we've proven that government can do more with less. What is most remarkable is that we've done all this in the midst of the longest, deepest economic recession since the Great Depression, a recession that began in the fall of 2007 and accelerated over the past year. The people of New Jersey didn't create this crisis. Its roots lie in a series of bad decisions in Washington, greed on Wall Street, and a governing and business philosophy that said anything goes. The unfortunate reality is that since this recession began, our state's tax revenues have declined dramatically by over $5 billion. New Jersey is hardly alone in this regard. Across the nation and around the globe, state, local, and national governments are facing devastating revenue shortfalls that have resulted in steep cuts to services across America. And as every family knows when it gathers around kitchen tables like we did in Eatontown and Bloomfield, people have to balance their household budgets. You can only spend as much as you take in. We had $5 billion less in taking in over the last year. It requires that we make the right choices. There are many tough choices in this budget, but this budget required that we make the right choices. And that's exactly what we've done in the budget before us today. In fact, we've been making the right choices for the last 3.5 years. I believe that New Jersey is poised to emerge from this global recession sooner and stronger than the rest of the country. We're working hand in hand with our partners in Washington to make that reality. Because we've made the right choices, our unemployment rate is significantly lower than the national average. Our home foreclosures are almost 50% lower than the national rate. And our median household income is among the very highest in the nation, if not leading the nation. And because we've made the right choices, the rate of property tax rate growth is smaller than at any time in the past decade. There's still a lot of work to be done. We all know that. But compare our situation to California, where the state is being forced to cut schools, hospitals, universities, giving out script to pay bills. Compare our situation to South Carolina and North Carolina, when the unemployment rate has soared above 11%. Compare our situation to Michigan and Ohio, where the collapse of the auto industry is destroying the very economic foundations of an entire region. The choices I've made may not always be popular in the moment, but they have been responsible. While we've cut baseline spending, as I said, by almost 20%, we've increased funding for our children's classrooms in the budget that I'll sign by $280 million. In fact, during my 4 years as governor, we've increased school funding by 30%. Budget also increased tuition aid grants by $34 million. That's on top of what we had done before to get almost $80 million over the 4 years, allowing some 3,500 more students to realize the dream of a college education. Tuition aid grants are $7,000 a year. We've paired financial aid with a 3% cap on tuition increases at New Jersey's colleges and universities. They're the right choices for New Jersey. While we've cut state spending by almost 20%, we've increased funds for health care, because here in New Jersey we know that health care is a right, not a privilege. This budget maintains hospital funding at current levels, maintains $605 million in charity care assistance, and it eliminates health care premiums charged to the economically distressed parents who participate in New Jersey's family care program. And over the course of the 4 years in office, we've added 80,000 kids to family care, 80,000 children to family care, and became the only state, except for Massachusetts, to mandate universal child health care. These are the right choices for New Jersey, and because we now have a partner in Pennsylvania Avenue, we're able to bring these to reality for the people of the state of New Jersey. Even as we cut state spending by 20%, we strengthen our commitment to seniors. This budget provides over 500,000 seniors with property tax rebates averaging $1,300. It expands the Senior Pre's program to 7,000 additional households, and it fully funds the Senior Disabled Citizens Property Tax deduction. Take that $1,300 in homestead rebate, take another $1,200 in our senior freeze away from the average property tax bill for our seniors, and we are not the highest in the country for those individuals. We want to make sure that our parents have a choice about staying in their homes where they've raised their families. We believe our seniors have a right to a dignified and secure retirement. That's why these are the right choices for New Jersey. Finally, even as we've cut spending by 20%, we've made the largest investment in direct property tax relief in New Jersey's history. Again, almost $7 billion in my 4 years as governor, and that's 1/3 more, 1/3 higher than any previous administration has made to direct property tax relief. Because we made the right choice to initiate a tax amnesty program, we were able to restore property tax rebates for 1 million New Jerseyans earning up to $75,000, as well as property tax deductions for families earning up to $250,000. And put that into the context that the median family income in New Jersey is $65,000. Today, I'm pleased to announce that the amnesty program brought in $725 million in additional revenues. I'll repeat, $725 million. Every penny of the collected delinquent taxes will be directed to property tax relief. I congratulate the legislature for making that a reality. Every penny. That's the right choice for New Jersey. There's still much work to be done in our fiscal affairs and property taxes across the state of New Jersey. We all know that. But given the economic context in which we live, and we're forced to develop this budget, we have much to be proud of. I want to thank my partners in the legislature. You all have been terrific, reached out, worked together, and shown great leadership and courage at a very difficult time. Senate President Dick Cody, Speaker Joe Roberts, Majority Leaders Steve Sweeney, Bonnie Watson-Coleman, Chairs Barbara Buono, Lou Greenwald, and Nellie Pohl, been a great team in bringing this budget to fruition. You've led by example, and I am very grateful for your support. Thank you. While our critics have failed to propose a real alternative to this budget, while they refuse to propose a substitute that meets our constitutional court-mandated obligations, we have produced a responsible budget. Our critics will label this many things. It is, after all, a political season. But they are wrong. For every dollar of new revenue, we have cut $4 in expenditures. Our critics oppose the tax amnesty program. They prefer the politics of opposition to the politics of responsibility. Again, they are wrong. But today is not an ending. It is a beginning. We must continue to build a stronger foundation for growth so that when the global recession subsides, and it surely will, New Jersey will be poised to prosper. As the economic storm clouds give way, and as we continue to partner with President Obama, and we most certainly are, we will revisit some of the more painful cuts this budget has forced upon us and look for responsible places to restore funds. But let me make this clear. Taxpayers can be certain that I will follow a principle that I've demonstrated when I announced the results of the tax amnesty program. The last cuts made would be the first restored, namely property tax relief. Again, last cuts made will be the first restored. Today we can be proud of the budget that honors our commitment to our children, seniors, and the most vulnerable. A budget that protects working class taxpayers and which asks little more of those who can afford it.